3, 2, 1.
Hit it. Experience 24 hours of head-to-head AWS sessions from around the world.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Jaws PANKRATION 2021. Up till down.
Well, hello, Jaws. This is Jeff Barr coming to you from Seattle. It's been far too long since I've been able to make an in-person visit to Japan, and I really miss seeing and interacting with all of you. I really appreciate this special speaking opportunity. I've been able to speak at JAWS many times in the past. And in fact, my first JAWS talk was at the first JAWS meeting way back in 2010, so almost 12 years ago. And every time I do that, I have a wonderful time. It is such a very, very worthwhile event. I always enjoy speaking and meeting all of you. Today I have a little bit different of a presentation than usual. I'm not going to talk to you at all about technology. I want to share some ideas for how we can better handle these unique time in the world that we find ourselves in. This is how I see things. In the year 2020, we were surprised by this pandemic. No one could see it coming. We didn't quite understand what was happening in those early days. This year, in 2021, we spent a lot of our time saying, well, the situation is a bit temporary. We were adapting, we were changing, we were figuring out new ways to live and to work. But I think for some of us, maybe me included, we thought this situation was perhaps temporary and that we would get back to the way things used to be. But now, as we get into the year 2022, I think we're about to start into a whole new world. Some of what we thought of as temporary is perhaps more permanent. We've made some really important changes in who we are, what we do, how we work. So I want to give you some ideas for what do we do to make the best of these unique and special times. The way I like to think about this is we have a really important choice. First, of course, we have to simply survive. But maybe we can do more than that. Maybe we have this opportunity to grow and to thrive. And this is how I see the difference between those two options. If we survive, well, we're accepting the situation, we're kind of just getting by. I think that's okay. But I also think it means that we spend a lot of time maybe waiting for other people to solve problems and to make the world just a little bit better for us, for each other. Now, on the other hand, I want to think more about thriving. Thriving is we're going to see the situation getting better. So what does this mean? Instead of simply accepting things as they are, we now have this great opportunity to change things. We don't wait, we actually move forward and we act. And what we sometimes might think of as problems, I suggest we can actually think of these things as great opportunities for you and for me and for all of us. we've all had this situation where we have to adapt very, very rapidly. And I'll be the first to tell you, this has been so strange. Many of us have had to understand how to live in isolation. We're by ourselves a lot. We've had to make a lot of adjustments, figuring out what it means to work from home. And people need other people, but now we've got this worry. We have to be a little bit careful, a little bit cautious as we connect with, as we get close to one another. And this means sometimes we have to have a little bit less trust. In the last 2 years, we've seen that everything suddenly has a remote alternative. In some cases, it's just as good as what we did before. In other cases, maybe not so good. But in other cases, I think we've seen that remote can actually be a bit of a game changer, or perhaps an improvement on the way we did things before. For example, I look at this conference and the fact that you have been able to enjoy content and participation from speakers just all over the world. And I'm so impressed by that. What I would suggest to you is that we need to work on 5 new skills for the future. And those skills are balance, flexibility, speed, focus, and creativity. Let's take a minute or two to look at each one of these. I find that it's very important that I keep all the parts of my life in balance all the time. There's a lot of different aspects to this. First, it's myself. I have to make sure that my mental and my physical health are both at the top of where they can be. I have to make sure that I spend time with and I pay attention to and I connect with my family. One important aspect of balance and a bit of a consequence of working from home, it's possible to let your work take all of your time. That is not good, and that's not balanced. It's really important to remember your friends as well. So wonderful to see people in person, but don't forget your friends and realize that they're going through just as unusual and a difficult situation as you are. In my own house, I notice even my pets, my dog, actually, she's a little bit kind of uncertain as to what's going on these days. But I think it's very important that we pay equal attention to all these different elements and components of our life. Now more than ever, it's very important that we look at life with an attitude of flexibility. What I mean is we have to be ready to make adjustments, maybe some small ones, maybe some large ones, to how we think, how we live, how we work, and perhaps even how we perceive the world. Now, as developers, we often think that we have some constants and we have some variables. I would suggest to you today that many things that we used to think of as constants, things that were given and that worked a certain way, many of those things in today's new times, these are actually variables. So what I suggest to you is to look at everything as variable. Each thing that you look at, decisions you make, parts of society, think of each of these as, this is how it is right now, but maybe I can actually change it. I think this flexibility is going to really pay off for you. This also seems to be a time where speed is actually very, very important. In the early days of the pandemic, I think we waited a lot for things to change. We were not quite certain, so we stopped, we paused, we said, let's just wait, let's just see what happened. Now that we're starting to see the longer term effects, I believe it's very important that we are able to change very, very quickly. To me, there's 4 elements to this. We observe or look around, we see the world as it is. We imagine a way that it could be better. We make some adjustments or changes, and we adapt ourselves or our systems or our lifestyle to that new observation. And then we keep repeating this. We keep modifying our actions, our behavior, our code, if you will, our architecture. Keep making them better and better in response to all of these changes. We have to always be on the lookout for this, but we have to actually be able to adapt and change even faster. I'm very confident that even though some of this time has been undoubtedly very challenging and difficult for all of us, we're going to come out on the other side okay. We're going to have said, this was really strange, but we figured it out, and we adapted, and we made things better. I would also like to encourage you to really turn up your creativity. What do I mean here? What do I mean here by that? To me, creativity is about solving some old problems in new ways. I think this event is a great example. In the past, we'd have a physical venue, we'd have guests arriving, we'd have a set of speakers that would travel from all over the world and arrive. Worked out really well. It was wonderful to always be there in person. However, when that became difficult or impossible, the JAWS community got together and said, we're going to be creative. We're going to solve these old problems in some new ways. We're going to use our skills, our technology, our creativity to solve this problem. So this is just a wonderful time to innovate, to think differently, and to actually go out and invent the future. I'm actually very confident as we look back. We're going to look back on, let's say we go ahead 5 years. We look back on the previous 5 years. We're going to find that we actually invented so many amazing things. Look at the amazing technology that's put together to support this conference. All the different parts of OBS and translation and AWS and online conferencing and Zoom and Chime, all these wonderful pieces working together to solve problems. So I do encourage you to be very creative and to keep on inventing the future. I'm just about out of time now.
1 minute left.
Just about out of time. So I do want to encourage you to think about a little bit about what I've shared with you and then decide. Am I going to simply survive? That's my starting case. But past that, I would like to thrive and grow and take on some new challenges and some new opportunities. The choice is yours, my friends. I really appreciate this time to speak to you. Certainly hope that you have found this to be of value. I know this is not my usual tech talk, but these are some things that have been on my mind and some things I thought that would be valuable to all of you. And that's why I took the time to assemble and share them with you. Would certainly appreciate your feedback, and I look forward to seeing you again in person sometime soon. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Music's loud and I'm feeling alright. In slow motion, baby, it's just you and I. Yet the burn makes you feel so alive. I'm living the moment till you're living tonight. We're here now, let's party together. Let's live like tonight is forever. We're here now, let's party together. Let's live like tonight is forever. Let the rhythm move us, yeah baby, take it too far. You're at the center of my attention, yeah you got me so lost. I love the way that you move and how the lights keep up the groove. We're like in a movie, baby, but it's ending too soon. We're here now, let's party together. Let's live like tonight is forever. We're here now, let's party together. Let's live like tonight is forever. Music's loud and I'm feeling alright. In slow motion, baby, it's just you and I. Yet the burn makes you feel so alive. I'm living the moment till you're living tonight. We're here now, let's party together. Let's live like tonight is forever. We're here now, let's party together. Let's live like tonight is forever. Let the rhythm move us, yeah baby, take it too far. You're at the center of my attention, yeah you got me so lost. I love the way that you move and how the lights keep up the groove. We're like